Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at ActionCOACH in Central Texas. And today I am joined by Joy Schoffler, who is the founder and principal of Distinctive Edge Partners. So we're jumping into some conversation here around business, about entrepreneurship, around challenges, best practices, kind of really just share a sneak peek into what it's like to really build and operate a business. So excited to have you here, Joy. Thank you so much for taking the time. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background and a little bit on the business. If you would give us kind of, 10,000 foot view of your background and, tell us, what is Distinctive Edge Partners?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Tanner. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here. Um, so I started Distinctive Edge Partners roughly 2 years ago. It's my second agency. My first agency I sold was a company called Leverage PR that operated primarily across the investment and financial technology space. So, it started my career in two ways. I was a finance officer in the Army Reserves and Texas State Guard public affairs officer, and always kind of had a passion for military service and wanting to, support the people who are really doing the important work for our country. And so after selling my last agency, I went back in-house with the client I'd actually started with. I started off as director of acquisitions for an investment firm. We grew that from up to $250 million assets under management in 2 years. So had some really phenomenal rapid growth. And then with clients in the tech space, got to do some really cool work, from helping to kind of craft the story of how blockchain was applicable outside of cryptocurrencies and share that with the world, early in 2015, to working with South by Southwest as their agency of record for the accelerator, to economic ministries of Japan and Brazil, and lots of banks and investment firms and all over the place with my old agency. I went back in-house and soon got started investing alongside former Congressman Dan Donovan, and a gentleman from Goldman Sachs, Amir Khalid with Industrials and Defense, and Matt DeVoe of the DeVoe family. And through that process, we, I looked at a lot of deal flow in aerospace and defense and just missed it. So after that deal closed, we ended up flipping a shipyard. I launched Distinctive Edge Partners and brought a team of just industry expert communicators across aerospace and defense, and started to serve clients in this market space.
Very cool. That is a incredible background that I'm excited to dive into a bit more. But to set the stage, I always like to kind of just set the stage for the viewers with regards to just kind of like ownership, business structure, that sort of thing. Because we've had some businesses that are, sole founders versus partners versus, venture capital backed, things like that. So I always like to just kind of set the stage to for kind of the rest of the conversations. Generally speaking, for your business, for Distinctive Edge Partners, what does the current ownership structure look like for y'all? Is it sole founder? Do you have business partners? Do you have investors at this point? Kind of what does that look like for y'all?
Yeah, so I'm the sole founder. Just like my first company, I funded and grew it, and so I'm the sole founder of it.
Beautiful. And as the founder, I'm always curious, what role do you currently play in the business, or maybe it's even what roles, plural, do you currently play inside the business?
Yeah, a lot of my day-to-day is spent looking for ways to grow and expand the business, and then as well as develop strategy for our clients. So I'm involved in strategy across all of our different client portfolio, from events management to communication and marketing. And then I have account managers and senior strategists, and then other account coordination staff who kind of run the day-to-day on the accounts. But I'm really involved in kind of the overarching strategy for all clients.
Wonderful. Absolutely love that. So let's dive into kind of what makes the business so special, that sort of thing. I always like to kind of get a sense for the audience of who specifically y'all serve. So maybe we'll start there, and then I'd love to hear a little bit about just competitors in general. Are there a lot of competitors for the service that y'all provide? But let's start with just kind of generally breaking down who do y'all serve. If I was watching this video, I always like to frame it up this way. If I was watching this later on, how would I know that I either was somebody or might know somebody that would be a perfect fit for your products and services?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. So we really serve companies in the aerospace and defense industry who are looking for expansion, growth, or to maintain market share. And so what that looks like is, the aerospace and defense are industries where you really have to communicate your message in the government and kind of the acquisition professionals and innovation people in charge of innovation in a very civic way. It almost requires like a translation from the traditional technology community. And as the government really looks to modernize and expand and grow, there's a lot of like tech companies who are getting into the government sector and really looking to bring the skills and expertise to help the American people with everything from health tech to different, innovation technology utilizing, sensors and processes and, kind of all of the different components. AI companies who are looking to, bring knowledge management systems or just a variety of different types of companies. And so those growth phase companies that they've been profitable, they've had good products, and they're really looking to either one, expand into new markets, or two, are established companies that are looking to share a story of innovation and connect with kind of the key decision makers who are in charge of those programs. So it's, that's part of why we do events as well, is it's really about bringing the right people together, both from a digital and an in-person perspective, to educate, to share thought leadership. Aerospace and defense is not a salesy type of industry. It's very in a B2G scenario or a B2B, you're typically selling to a small population of people. And so relationship development and, customized content in the words of the people who you're selling to so that they can understand and you can educate them is really important. And showing credibility, because it's you're selling to the government to solve a very specific problem at a lot of times.
Oh man, that brings up so many questions around marketing, and I'll get to that here in just a second. But are there many competitors to what y'all do? It sounds like y'all are very unique in a way. So I'm just curious on what's the competitive landscape look like for your industry?
Yeah. So there's a lot of teaming that goes on in the government contracting landscape. And so what that means is, we more than competitors, we often see different agencies as collaborators. So, we work on each other's clients from time to time. We help each other with growth or of speaking engagements or different things that are happening, or making sure that, their clients are at different events. So it's really a collaborative industry. And we truly do have a shared mission too, to like look for the best outcomes for the American people. So, it's not just kind of lip service. It's truly something I believe in. Like, our clients are literally changing the world. They're bringing new technology that gets us to space, that makes, the world like a much better place, a much safer place. And so there's a sense of mission and working to help the people who are trying to solve our country and the world's biggest problems.
Mm. So I want to ask some questions around marketing because I love jumping into marketing simply for the fact that it's one of those things that's vital to every business. And for many business owners, entrepreneurs, it can be an area that's easy to be challenged with or struggle with, especially early on. So I always like to, find out what successful companies are doing, things like that, hear how it's different, maybe in different industries and different types of business. So I'm curious, you mentioned relationship development, things like that being, really important, but what has been y'all's approach to marketing for this business specifically?
It depends on the overall goals of the client. So the approach that we take is we sit down with clients and we identify where it is they're trying to go. So, what are their goals? Who are their targets? What are they trying to achieve? And then we basically look at all of their marketing systems and what they're currently doing, what they're currently saying. And then we develop a strategy of, here's what we're hearing that your goals are, and here's, what you're saying. Here's what's, kind of what's missing, or what's, what we need to look at changing. And then we'll develop a tactical execution plan that's customized for that particular client's goals based upon where they want to go. So sometimes that can be events, putting on, little fireside chats or things of that nature, where we're bringing in potential customers and topics that are really fascinating to and value add to that community, because at the end of the day, it's all about value add. A lot of it's credibility building. So how can you look at your past performance and things that you've done and tailor that and tweak that in a way that really hits the target for your prospective customers? And is there something missing? Are you saying it in different words? Is it, too, so narrow that people just don't get it? Or is it, what's the problem with the case studies if you have them? How can we, turn that into language that's simple, and turn it into language that that fits within the scope of what the budgets and what, kind of the overall, requests for proposals out there are, talking about. So really molding the content, really molding the language, making sure that it's really easy for government buyers to understand that they're a seller. Are there contracting vehicles on their website? Like, what is it? What are the things that are missing there? And then how do we help them to, to align and get there?
I love that. And so for your business, how many different acquisition channels do y'all use to generate the clients that you currently work with?
So a lot of our strategy is through thought leadership as well. So we host uh, basically invite only VIP party at South by Southwest every year, where for the aerospace and defense community, where leaders are invited to apply. People who are, within the government, who are in town for South by Southwest, those leaders are admitted to, to the event, so that we can really create like a valuable room for them, because at the end of the day, we're all serving that particular community. And then bringing together trade media, bringing together association leadership, bringing together, the executives at corporations, non-salespeople, so that the room, unless they're a sponsor, typically they're not, kind of sales level people are not coming and, trying to engage with these high level leaders. It's really about building relationship from a very high level and helping the right people to kind of make connections in a way that is valuable to both parties. So if there's not mutual benefit there, then we don't recommend it and do it. And we kind of practice what we preach, where, we're not big on email marketing to, massively. We'll put out newsletters with content on a quarterly basis, and, we'll share different stuff that we're engaged in on social media. But the way that we market our business is very much, how can we provide value to that customer base?
Beautiful. I absolutely love that. We've spent a bunch of time talking about kind of where the business is today, a little bit of nuggets. I want to just take a step back to kind of this journey into, say, entrepreneurship in general. You've got some experience that goes back beyond just this particular business. I'm curious if you kind of dive into, was there a moment for you when you decided, you know what, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to, have my own type of business and continue to build and grow that. Do you remember when that moment was? And if so, like, tell me a little bit about what allowed you to make that transition versus choosing to work on a team for somebody else.
Gosh, it was such dumb luck actually that, that it came about. So, um, I started my career in real estate investing. As I mentioned, I was with a small fund that, grew into a mid-sized 75-person shop. I was employee number 4. Um, and helped grow that. I got to work directly alongside the CEO. He now has over $1 billion assets under management and 160-person team. And as I mentioned, I went back in house and helped him grow and expand even more after I sold my company. And I absolutely loved working there, but I just had my first daughter, or my first child rather, had it was 2009. We just closed a really big real estate transaction, and the real estate market was not going to do anything for a long time. I went to work, left my, newborn at home, and just kind of started like going into the office, and nothing was happening because there was zero access to capital in those days. Like, the real estate market often takes a while to shake out after any sort of turmoil, why buyers are holding, hoping for change, and sellers aren't quite ready to move yet, or excuse me, sellers are holding. So, knew nothing was going to get done. So I ended up staying at home for a short time with my daughter. And much as I love my kids, I am not built like from a personality type to be a stay-at-home mom. I ended up creating a hair bow making business out of sheer boredom, because like I just was so bored. And just, yeah, I was like, it's God bless anybody who can do that, because it's just not my skill set. And so I ended up starting to consult, and people were telling me that how good at PR I was. I was an econ major, finance officer, director of acquisitions. I was more comfortable with a spreadsheet than words, but I used PR in that first role to grow the company whenever we'd need, to raise capital. Of course, we couldn't generally solicit at that time, but what we could do was go in and, like share different stories on what makes a particular area really good, or set up programs where we'd bring in like nonprofits to come and turn our community center into a job training center, or bring in college students to offer free tutoring after school to the residents' children, or, all these things that were strategic marketing at its core. And so I kind of, as I was going in and consulting to different companies, they started to grow rapidly, increase their assets under management, have a lot of success. And it just turned into a PR firm of all things. I was like, oh, I guess I am doing PR. And it just turned into PR for financial services. So as I mentioned, that scaled and grew, and it just, I just knew that like entrepreneurialism was, was for me. I tried to go back in house, and was successful for just under 2 years, going back to the first investment firm. But again, like I missed the ability to kind of have budget control. I missed the ability to do the things that I thought were necessary. And my mom was passing at the time of Alzheimer's. And so, through her passing, I ended up taking a little break to, through that process, and came out of it, started investing more myself, doing kind of more stuff that I mentioned with the aerospace and defense investing. And I just realized that, yes, I could be a partner in a private equity firm and purchase the deals, but I'd grown a much bigger investment portfolio as running an agency, because I could like see into the inner workings of industries and different things at such a powerful way while getting paid to do that. And so it was crazy to me that I was like, okay, I'm making less money. I'm paying a ton in legal fees to get these deals done. And when paydays hit, they hit, but they don't always hit because deals fall apart or they take, years to get done sometimes. And so why am I doing it like this? It was much more successful the other way. So yes, that is my long and sordid story.
I love that. That's absolutely fascinating, and I think highlights some important pieces of getting into entrepreneurship and enjoying kind of that journey. I'm curious as you look on your journey so far, uh, what's been like the biggest lessons you've had to learn that's helped you become the business owner that you are today?
I think the biggest lessons are when you find really, really good talent who are phenomenal at their jobs, to look for ways to um, help them meet their own personal goals. And so, as I look at talent and look for how to build just a world-class team around me, I had one team member, for example, who is fantastic at events. Marcella Caldwell. She is just amazing at events. And 20 years experience in the events industry, was person number 2 at a rapidly growing events company that grew to 8 figures within a couple of years and 9 shortly thereafter, like just a powerhouse. And, through that process, as she was on my team and helping me run exceptional events, I decided to launch an events division and make her, put her fully in charge of that events division and give her an opportunity to build share in that company along the way, and truly to kind of empower her to do the things that, she like to meet her goals in life. And so I really look at it as, today's work model has changed forever. Um, how do you give employees opportunity, autonomy, but align interests so that, if the company is successful, then they're successful in a way that has real meaningful impact, and micromanagement is not required. And so rewarding those kind of people, finding them, rewarding them, like helping them to just shine is something that I've a lesson I've learned, and something that I constantly aspire to do. Like how with consultants I work with, like sometimes they have varied interests. One is a storm chaser and runs an organization called Girls Who Chase. And, she's a part-time member of our team who plays a really vital role. But her ultimate goals in life, although she's got 20 years experience of working at places like NASA and FEMA and preparing preparing leaders for congressional testimony and all this big important work, at the end of the day, like one of her key passions is storm chasing, in addition to being a phenomenal professional communicator and strategist. So how can you find ways to work with people that enables them to meet their life goals while getting the best from them, and enabling them to do what they want to do, both from a work and a passion perspective. So I really look at it a little bit differently, and take that approach.
Love it. Yeah, I had like a couple questions I wanted to ask around, team and leadership and all that kind of stuff. And you like knocked out two of the, top questions I love to ask. But since we're on the topic, when you look at how would you describe your leadership style, and has it changed over the years as you've continued to grow and develop?
Oh, absolutely. So I think I look at my leadership style in a way that private equity companies look at how to empower and grow their portfolio companies, like having spent a lot of my career in private equity. And so I really look at it as, again, how can I empower people to take real ownership, and how can I align those incentives? And then to create like a win-win situation. And, my goal, like if I'm doing my job correctly, I'm hiring people who are so much better at things than I am. And, like helping them to, number one, it's all about client results. Finding people who have that same mentality of like, how do we help these clients achieve their results um, in the best way possible, and who just care. Like
Mm.
that is by far, like, people who care, people who are willing to put in the work. Definitely, I respect the work-life balance, but also want people, when there's something that a client needs to help them succeed, that we do everything in our power, and that they want that, that they have that desire.
It's amazing. I always like to ask about, education and training, especially with, retaining employees today. When you look at just kind of where your business is headed, maybe just the general business climate out there today, you look at kind of the next 6, 12 months, what do you believe is kind of the most important things that, y'all should be training your employees on, or, for those of us out there, what should we be training some of our employees on? What do you think is important today in the realm of training employees?
I think there's nothing more critical than mastering AI, especially
Mm,
in um, especially when it comes to any sort of communication and marketing or research. So, getting really good at being able to ask the right questions to AI, getting really good at being able to put that information together, and then fact checking along the way, making sure that the information that you're getting is accurate, um, is uh, is correct, because it can save a lot of time in the process. A big part of what you do as a communicator is research. Research in building stories, research in building story angles, finding the right people. Um, we do a lot of speaker management and selecting speakers for
mm,
conferences. We're doing that right now for a conference called Fed Supernova at a Capital Factory. And in that process, we are, like, one of the things is like, okay, we want diversity. We want diversity of opinion. We want people who look different, like who sound like me as opposed to just sound like you all, like
mm,
we want different voices. We want different perspectives from the stage. And so like being able to use AI as a tool to be able to find kind of the, find speakers from diverse perspectives and do that research, being able to, identify examples for content or, different things. And again, you've got to be really, really careful with AI because it gives misinformation
mm.
just, quite often. So you've got to train it. But and then having somebody who's really like a phenomenal writer to be able to go back and like, pull different pieces together and mine through a lot of content and data easily, I think is powerful. One, it saves your clients a lot on billable hours. So you become a much more efficient, we become more efficient at our jobs, and we're able to pass that efficiency along to our clients. So that skill is really just important to me, like to be able to utilize technology in a way that assists our clients in the best possible way.
That's so cool. Cal, I don't know who I was listening to in the last couple of weeks, but it kind of triggered something in my brain that being really good at the prompts in AI, and really understanding critical thinking, and that becoming a much stronger skill as AI continues to develop. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So absolutely love that. I know we've certainly covered a ton of ground in the conversation today. So for everyone that's watching, highly encourage, save this video, make sure you go back, rewatch it, grab out some of the nuggets here, because there's a ton of fun stuff that we've kind of uncovered and talked about so far. Um, But I do want to be respectful of time. So as we kind of wrap up, got a couple rapid fire questions, about four of them here I'd like to go through, and then we'll end on kind of one specific question to round us out. So first my rapid fire questions, kind of top answer, gut feeling. I know we could go deep on some of these, but we'll go quick answers on these. What is your current key to success?
Caring about my people and clients.
Beautiful. What's one piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
Look to add value first and profit will come.
I like that. What is one book that you're either reading now or have read most recently?
Oh gosh, I'm reading four right now. I'm trying to think of what the best one is on my Amazon list. I'm so sorry. I would say, sorry, I know this is not quick.
Well, I love that you're reading four books at a time. That's fantastic.
The Age of Turbulence by Adam Greenspan, I just wrapped up and it was fantastic. And then The Code by Margaret O'Meara. I'm also like, that's another one. And yeah, War Without Rules and Exercise of Power and Life 3.0 are the other ones I'm reading. So
Very cool.
lots of different stuff.
Love it. And kind of final rapid fire question. If you had the ability, kind of some magic to put on just one area of your business to immediately improve it overnight, where would you put that magic?
I think in, oh gosh, that's so hard. Maybe finding additional talent because we're hiring right now.
Love it. So before we finish off with the final question, I loved it and all of these interviews on. For the audience, where can they go to find out more information about you, about all the work that y'all are doing, to connect and kind of all of that sort of thing? Where can we have people go to find out more information?
Yeah, distinctiveedge.partners. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. I will put both of those in the description below. So as soon as we wrap up here, make sure you go to the description in the bottom, click those, connect with Joy on LinkedIn, and make sure you check out the website and all the amazing things that they're doing over there. But Joy, as we wrap up here today, I always like to end on this final question, and that is this: what is most inspiring to you today?
Most inspiring for me today is just the work that I'm doing with companies who are really developing cool technology. That is an inspiration because it's really hard work. It's hard work to create. It's hard work to to share your creation with the world, not only from an entrepreneurial standpoint, but as companies that are looking to get that out in the world. So that innovation is the most inspiring thing.
Very cool. Well, Joy, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure just getting to know you and your business a little bit more, hear your journey and the incredible things that you had the opportunity to accomplish over your tenure so far. Looking forward to all the things that you'll continue to accomplish, and just thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanner. I've just really immensely enjoyed this.